Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Let's get back to work on the Ford Flivver. In this exciting episode, yes, episode 17, the exciting episode, we're going to try and go ahead and get fuel tank mounted, and let's see what we can get put together for servos, because that's going to be the more difficult part. Where this is going to go, and yes, it is an 8-ounce tank. You guys say, hey bud, why are you using an 8-ounce tank? I mean, it is a Servo. Yeah, these Servos are about 20 cc's per minute, wide open throttle. So if you want to use that as a little safety zone, this is like 230 something cc's for 8 ounces. So wide open throttle, you should be almost 13 minutes of wide open time. I'm not going to have that thing up in the air for 12 minutes. My standard flight time in a lot of my airplanes is somewhere usually in the 7 to 8 minutes. I'm not one of those air hogs that likes just flying until the thing runs out of gas. I like to give myself at least, at least one go around, just in case the first landing approach is not that good. So this is also going to go ahead and give me much more room. Now, it's where the servos are going to go. I'm going to take the plane apart. Well, first I'm going to clean up the bench. Then I'm going to take the plane apart and show you what I'm going to go ahead and do and how, and this is just upstairs right now, on how I'm going to run everything, because I think this may be able to go on the top deck in the cockpit, or I may be making a modification to the fuselage where this can drop down into a little gap along that little front deck. So as soon as I get everything cleaned up, I'll bring you right back. Alright boys and girls, this is where all the fun's going to begin. If you can see, kind of, sort of, side by side, it's really close. I mean, right here at the very top of my finger, right there is where the intake is for the water. Water? My gosh. Gasoline. So it's pretty much straight across, but I'd rather have this thing drop down a little bit. So my goal is to see if I can get this whole tank dropped down by about that much. So we're probably looking somewhere around 5/8 of an inch. See if we could drop this down, and then we'll pull the motor out, and we'll with the one of the Forstner bits, we'll come straight through and we'll drill an opening. So that way, and it sounds as crazy as it is, if we wanted to, we can go ahead and have this thing almost poke through the other side, just to get a little bit more, let's just call it closer. But I just don't know if I think I'm going to do that. I just want to have a good pass through through the firewall, because this is an open cockpit, so anything that does come through, we're okay with it escaping back here. So this I'm not really concerned about. So let me get everything traced out. Let me get it broken down and show you if we're going to have an issue with this cross member for the motor mount or not. Okay, the top piece is cut out, and that's where the tank's going to sit down into. And this little contraption took me... it was put together with bits and pieces. I got everything close and put little wedges in just to make sure that once I cut it out properly, because this is the finished one. The temporary one's around here somewhere. It's all glued into pieces. But there it is. That's going to go ahead, and that's going to fit around the little teeny stops I've got, and that's the I don't know, 3/4 by 3/4. I'm going to say oak. It's a heavy duty wood. That's the motor mount. Okay, so let me go ahead and get this glued into position. We'll go ahead and screw this down on the top, and then we'll drop the tank in and let you see what it looks like. Alright, they're not screwed into position, but they're sitting under little resting points. So you can see I do have a little gap behind. Not a big deal, because I don't know if I may have to run something through here up to the front. Chances are no, but I don't have a problem leaving this open. Because this is epoxied into position, I will be coming through and probably putting a couple little, let's just call them little holes for a zip tie or two to come on through to hold this thing in place once it's down inside. So this comes down inside and fits in, and it fits in tight. So the front to back movement is, I don't know, it's you can see, if you can see the gap, that's how much it is. I don't know, it's 10, 15 thousandths. So this will fit down nicely inside, and just as long as I got 1 or 2 straps coming across the top to hold it down to the bottom, the bed that it sits on, this will be fine. And then that will be bringing the tubes out right about here, which should work just about fine to curl around, because it's about an inch below the opening for the intake, but it's right there, right on level with the carb. So hopefully all of this will work out very nice. That's my hopes, because I don't want to have to open this thing up and go ahead and drop it down any deeper, but this should be just fine. So now that this part's done, let's go ahead and flip this bird upside down, try to figure out how we're going to put the servos in. This is going to be the fun part. Now where we're at, and I'm going to take you off the bench, because it's probably going to be easier to show you all the different products we're going to be using at the next stage. Because I've had many hours trying to figure out how I want to go ahead and do it. How do I want to connect certain items? Because what we're going to try to do in this video, of course, is I at least want to get the throttle servo hooked up, because we're trying to do all the servos. So, and this is the most complex one, where the 2 servos go into the tail. That's all piece of cake stuff. But the throttle servo is gonna, the lead itself, the actual working end of it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna be running that up through a piece of clear tubing, semi clear tubing, and you can see how well that the cable itself runs through it. I've done this in the past and it works out very well. I mean, it's like liquid. It goes in and out really easy. Because this is going to have to come up and do a couple bends, and this stuff can take still a pretty tight bend and be very smooth. So that's the biggest concern with this one. So let me kind of get you guys off the stand and see how well I can explain with the camera on how I've got everything already pre-marked out and how it's going to work. All right, now where we're going in, because I had to rotate this 180 degrees. They normally have it sitting up on top. I've got it down underneath, because we have to figure out how we're going to get around the fuel tank, just because this is why I left the extra space in, because we're going to have to use this corner. So where the hole's going to get drilled through, it's going to be all the way down here. Now up in this area right here, I'm going to come in with a Forstner bit, and we're just going to drill a hole straight through here, so that the tubes coming out of the front of the tank are just going to pass straight through, and then we'll get them hooked in the right locations. So what we're going to use for this, because like I said earlier, hopefully I said earlier in the video, the servo is going to be underneath this top piece, and the servo that we're going to be using is just a HS81. They work great for what we need them for, because it's just a throttle servo, and because there's no binding, there's going to be no binding on this. These things work great, and I've used them many times. A small little servo for a small little job, because I've never had a problem with those things binding up. So this is going to go underneath this plate, and most likely it's going to be attached to the bottom of this, and we'll probably have it laying on its side, possibly laying on its side just like this. So if we get it close enough where we're coming straight in, or even coming in at a less of an angle, so it's going to come underneath this panel and then pop through right down about here. So it'll come underneath, squeeze through right here, and then come out right here, and then we're going to attach here. Now, how we're going to attach. All right, now how we are going to go ahead and operate the cable. We got some options. We can either go with the easy mini connector, or the quick grip easy connector. So, and they both work the same way, where this is just going to go, either one's going to go through here, through the actual troll. The minis, I don't have to drill this out. For the quick grips, that's usually the same size connector on the end, which is good, because a lot of times I might just have to adjust it a little bit to make it work. Now I can go that route, and it's going to come out and it's going to stand right here. Or I can go with these, and I've worked with these before, and this is probably exactly what I'm going to work with. It's a little threaded ball links, and I could take one of these little ball links. This goes right through the hole in the bottom, and then you do have little hopefully you can see them, little teeny nuts that are going to attach to the back of it, and then just a little bit of super glue on the back side of that, and it's not going anywhere. And then because it's got a ball end on it, you can put a ball link on, so now you've actually got to play with the ball link, so there's going to be no binding. And that is my goal to use on this piece right here. So I hope all that will make perfect sense to you before I even get started, because you know, once you get started, you're not done till you're done. And then for the flying wires, the rigging on the back, here's what I'm going to go with. I've got an old 256 pull system, and I think I've got one or two of these things in my little box of goodies. And I'm going to go ahead, and this is what's going to connect pretty much everything on the back end, because it's about as lightweight as I can go. I normally go 440 on the great big giant scale stuff, but I think we'll get away without an issue with the 256, and we're going to save as much weight as possible back there. All right, so let me go ahead. We'll get the first holes drilled into position, and then we'll be trying to figure out exactly where this is going to lie. Because it's going down in this little general vicinity right in here, I wanted to make sure I've got something set up where I'm not trying to set it up down in there. I'm trying to set it up on the bench and then just come in and make reference marks on where this is going to go. So there we go. So we've got it all set up. This is how this is going to be, of course, on the servo end. There's going to be adjustability on the servo end, as well as on the, let's just call it the throttle end on the engine, or the motor, however you guys want to hear it. And what I decided to do was, instead of trying to do it differently, I'm just going to go ahead with one of these little pass-through couplers, and we're just going to call it good on this end of it. So this piece here is already cut into position, and it's just masking tape and pretty much just super glue, just holding that in position. I just wanted to make sure that being this distance apart, and I'll take this measurement and put it on this top section of wood when that time comes, and then just go ahead and get everything properly, you know, glued in. I've got to make the little teeny, let's just call them mounting blocks that are going to go in here. So I've got to go ahead and get those made. And I've got some more spruce, keep it lightweight and strong. So I'll get these things cut out in the bandsaw. And then let's go ahead and make some marks, and let's get this moved into here. All right, if you think that's a mess, yeah, this has been a whole lot of just grabbing tools and just using them once or twice and throwing it on the bench. So I got to get that cleaned up soon. Where we're at right now is, you can see how this little piece right here, this is going to be the little cup. I need to make sure that all of this with the cup can line up. There's the cup. Can line up with the ball. Now, this is going to get cut shorter. And this is going to get cut shorter too, because it's very light duty work. It's not, you're not binding anything up when you're pulling the back and forth, because that's how easy it moves back and forth. So what I'm going to have to do on this side, I'm going to have to drill the hole out. I want the hole a little bit bigger than it is. And then I'm going to come on this side and go ahead and install a block that's going to stand the tubing off this way at least another 3/8 of an inch. And that way this can tuck into the firewall just a little bit, so that way it gives us more than enough room for the thing to work properly. So let me go ahead, get a block cut. I'm gonna have to come in, probably cut some of this down, this end piece, or this little teeny, whatever I call that thing. Cut it down a little bit lower so I can get that block put into position. So this is gonna take a little bit of time, so I'll bring it back when I've got this little piece glued into position. All right, a whole lot of time spent, but I got it just the way I want it. So I'm going to take you off the stand and show you the final on getting the throttle servo put into place. It was interesting. It took me a lot longer than expected, but there was a whole bunch of little nuances that I had to work out. So let me take you off the stand, show you what I did. The fuel tank is going to fit just the way I want it to. I'm going to have to make some little teeny rounded cutouts just for the straps to put around it. And as you can see, I had to put a little, I don't even want to call this thing, a little swale through. just to clear the line coming out, just for the throttle servo cable. So as you can see, it's all hooked up, and through the radio we got full throw, so we are good. So that's pretty much idle or off, and that's full. So so I do have enough room for everything, and I ended up coming out. I'm very happy with this one. I got to take it all back out to put the hole through the front of the firewall, but this will give you a little indication of what it looks like up on the inside. So we've got the little servo, and it's just an HS81 into position, and the throttle cable housing is not secured yet, but it will be secured as we move along. But it does work nicely, and I'm happy with it. So let's call that part done. Now let's make the marks and get a Forstner bit and go ahead and drill through this. So we have a little bit of an opening, so we're going to be running the fuel through, and I think we're going to be running the overflow drain straight down. I'd like to come out through the tail, but I will decide this as things progress. When it came time to go ahead and put the rear servos for that part of the plane, I decided a couple different ways that I would have liked to have put them in. The only problem is every way that I wanted to put them in, with the exception of this way, it was just too much involved, and it just really wasn't going to work for the way I wanted to do it. Because if I wanted to put them in on their side, I was going to have a plate that was screwed in so I could lift the whole plate up just so I can get the servo horns off. So I just decided, let's just do it the way it should be done. Came in with two little cross beams, and this is actually little scrap pieces of spruce that came in an old kit, and I still had a little bit of the 1/4x1/4. So these things are very nicely attached, and I do have them so that they're probably, I don't know, about that much up off the bottom, so it's not touching where the fuel tank's going to sit on top of it. And the kit originally came with some wooden dowels, and then, even though this is a bent one, don't pay attention to the bent, but and so this is what you're going to have to do. I was going to have to come on in with my little Z bender and just go ahead and bend up this piece of wire just to get it to fit the way I wanted it to. And I decided I've got a whole bunch of Sullivan from years and years ago. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and hook this up with Sullivan, and it does have this little teeny yellow piece that slides through very nicely. And then how this is going to get attached, and this is one of the things I'm going to have to do tomorrow. I don't know how well you're going to see it, but I'm going to use these little teeny, and they're made from Dubro. It's a little 256 spring steel quick links. So that way we can just go ahead and then just screw in some 256 wire. Now the problem I have is I'm completely out of foot-long pieces of just threaded rod, which I do get from Dubro. Alright, so as you can see where I'm at now, because I have to go over to Dubro Products to buy the parts. It's 2 miles from where I work, so I've been there many times. Now, on a little inside story, I've actually known Dewey Broberg, hence Dubro, for quite a few years. He was the original starter and owner of the company. Now his kids run it. Super nice guy. I flew with him many times, and even I used to be an operations manager at a large indoor sports facility here in Illinois. And he would pop over when we used to fly indoors, even up until probably a couple months from when he passed away. He would just show up just to sit down, just to talk, just to have a good time watching other people fly planes. So it is a good company. I'm not sponsored. Good company, good people. Like I said, still family. So I'll probably run over there, hopefully tomorrow or the next day, just to go ahead and get everything I need on hooking up the controls. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm back in the shop.